The stands are packed here at the UNG soccer field at Lynn Cottrell Park on a beautiful Saturday night. Welcome to Dahlonega, Georgia for our PBC women's soccer matchup between two teams who have hit their stride the last few weeks. It's the home team, the North Georgia Nighthawks, welcoming the Georgia Southwestern Hurricanes to town for a showdown on the Nighthawk Sports Network. Glad to have you all with us today alongside my partner Devin Kupka and the rest of the NSN team. Robert D. Clementi on hand for you tonight. Both of these programs have been rolling recently. The Nighthawks coming off of back-to-back impressive wins on the road against Albany State and Georgia College, outscoring their opponents 10-3 during those two games. And the Hurricanes, winners of 3 straight, including an impressive takedown of Flagler during that stretch. And Devin, with the regular season starting to come to a close, this is where teams really show their true colors, and we get a sense of what these teams are capable of, and over the last few weeks, both teams have looked very impressive.
Yeah, both teams have looked impressive, and this is going to be an interesting matchup because Georgia Southwestern has yet to beat North Georgia in the 21 matchups that they have played. But Georgia Southwestern so far playing a pretty good season. They're currently sitting, they're 3-2 in the Peach Belt so far this year. North Georgia 4-0-1, so North Georgia only has one more win than Georgia Southwestern does in the Peach Belt, so going to be a good matchup tonight.
Absolutely, as we take a look at tonight's starting lineups presented by Northeast Georgia Health System, and for Georgia Southwestern, a lot of familiar faces in the starting lineup, including the Peach Belt Conference Goalkeeper of the Week, Alana Beto, getting the start for Georgia Southwestern, of course, in goal, and for North Georgia, a lot of familiar faces in there, of course, their superstar goalkeeper, Sierra Fowler, in goal for them, and the dynamic duo of Sam Cottle and Bailey Odinger combining for 10 goals between those two players as well in the starting lineup. So it's going to be a fun one today in Dahlonega. Again, glad to have you all with us. Lots of festivities going on. 4 North Georgia seniors honored for Senior Day taking place before the game. We'll discuss those 4 seniors as the game moves on. It's also Gold Rush weekend here in Dahlonega. Always brings in a lot of visitors and big crowds here at Lynn Cottrell Park. Usually the streets are lined with about thousands and thousands of people over the course of the weekend.
Yeah, and it's absolutely beautiful weather today, Robert, for Gold Rush into this Dahlonega Square. And, you know, a lot of people out there. I saw some pictures. There's a ton of people out here. On my way up here, there was a lot of traffic as well. So, you know, a lot of people are out and about here in Dahlonega, but, you know, why don't you end the day and the evening with us watching some North Georgia soccer?
Exactly. Couldn't really ask for a better day. You know, you get out on the square, maybe, you know, get some crafts, maybe one of those nice strawberry lemonades, and like you said, round out your day with some great North Georgia soccer here at Lynn Cottrell Park. On a beautiful day as well.
Yeah, temperatures in the low 70s. It's going to be a good one today, and, you know, the women's team playing the latter part of the doubleheader, you know, going to cool off as the game goes on. Yeah,
the North Georgia women's soccer team trying to follow up the fantastic performance from North Georgia men's soccer about an hour or so ago as they were able to come away with the 2-1 win over Flagler College to maintain the number 1 spot in the Peach Belt Conference in that game. A Jorge Sandoval goal with 16.7 seconds left put the Nighthawks up 2-1 in that game. Devin, you're on double duty today. You were doing that first broadcast color with Ryan Hutchison. A great call he had on that goal, by the way, that game-winning goal from Jorge Sandoval. What were your thoughts on that first game of the day?
Yeah, North Georgia able to really keep up the pressure they applied against USC Aiken. And USC Aiken was kind of a letdown for the men's team as not able to get any goals when they had a ton of opportunities on Wednesday night. And then North Georgia able to come up clutch. Jorge Sandoval with the clutch goal at the very end in the back right of the net, and it was just incredible. North Georgia coming out with a huge win that puts them in first place in the Peach Belt Conference.
Yeah, that was just absolutely crucial for them to come away with the win. Like you said, after following up that 0-0 tie against USC Aiken just a few days ago, it's definitely great to see them get back into the win column. Now 7 wins for them. North Georgia women's soccer with 8 wins on the season, 8-1-1. We talked about how good North Georgia has looked as of recent, but really all season long, this women's soccer program has just looked spectacular. Their only loss coming against Florida Tech, one of the best D2 women's soccer programs in the country. As Sierra Fowler comes out to the far right corner of the box and just sends it over North Georgia's bench, so it's going to be a throw-in here, it looks like, for Georgia Southwestern.
Don't think I've seen any of those colors on our goalkeepers before, like that baby blue that Sierra Fowler is wearing back there near the net.
Almost reminds you of the baby blues that the North Georgia softball team wears on Sundays.
Yeah, exactly. Does remind me of that. Very, very cool touch there to add to the palette of uniforms that North Georgia has.
So just a few minutes ticking off the clock here with 41 minutes to go here in this first half. Grace McGill has the ball taken away from her at midfield. McGill getting the starting nod from Coach Ralton here in this one. McGill, her 4th start of the season, as the Nighthawks try to work their way into the box, as their captain, Darby Olive, is tripped up, but no call. Nighthawk faithful here also wanted that to be a tripping call. Ball hits a couple of heads and eventually bounces out of play for a throw-in with Alexa Aronoff at midfield. Odinger with pressure on her. We mentioned in that opener, Odinger, 5 goals this season, tied for first on the team with the freshman Sam Cottle. Odinger has just been such a huge pickup for North Georgia here this season. A junior from Roswell, Georgia, has made an immediate impact since she stepped foot on the field for the Nighthawks. Southwestern's back line makes a play as they kick this one over into the shade. Some of the only shade here we have at the UNG soccer field. A beautiful day, about 74 degrees outside. Definitely warmer than it was on Wednesday. It was about 40 degrees here for the men's soccer game. Sierra Fowler boots this one right in front of her bench. Alex Clark now in the shade. Clark made a handful of really, really great plays for North Georgia in that 3-1 win for GCSU against GCSU on the road this past Wednesday. Had a couple of assists in that one and was just putting the soccer ball in the perfect position for her team to come away with a goal. As Clark makes her way past midfield, past a couple of defenders, trying to weave her way in and out of traffic. Ball eventually does get back to her. She's got Clark on her hip, so we have a Clark-on-Clark matchup here as Tony Clark for Georgia Southwestern put the pressure on, forced the ball out of play for a North Georgia throw-in. Nighthawks are forced back into their back line with Michael Fruits, another senior that was honored before the game. Michael Fruits, Sierra Fowler, Kat Watry, and Darby Olive all getting their flowers, their well-deserved flowers before the game. Now 38:15 to go. We have a whistle going against Southwestern, so it will be a free kick here for North Georgia. Nighthawks currently ranked first in the PBC standings. Been over a full calendar month since they have lost. They're putting the pressure on Southwestern here. They take the shot, and it's going to soar far outside of the goal there. So it's going to be a goal kick for Beto. Nighthawks putting the early pressure on Southwestern. Georgia Southwestern, they have really turned the tide as of recently. Started the season out 1-4, and in their last 5 games, they're 4-1. Like we mentioned in the opener, currently on a 3-game winning streak. Had a really impressive win over Flagler during that streak. So they're coming into this game with all the momentum. They come into Dahlonega trying to push that to a 4-game winning streak, trying to take down North Georgia for the first time in program history.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see with Georgia Southwestern because this might be one of the best Georgia Southwestern teams North Georgia has faced.
Yeah, this matchup typically favoring North Georgia, like we mentioned. The Nighthawks are 21-0 all-time against Georgia Southwestern in the all-time matchups. Southwestern is looking for their first goal against North Georgia since September 26th of 2018. That was the last time that Southwestern was able to find the back of the net against one of the best back lines in the PBC, and really all of the country, against North Georgia. Nighthawks send the corner in as Beto makes a play. So it will be a goal kick here for the Hurricanes. Southwestern now with the ball. They get it past midfield. Aronoff picks it off. Aronoff now trying to work her way into the teeth of the defense. It's pushed back to Michael Fruits. Fruits gets it across the field to Alex Clark. Ball almost goes out of play as it is riding the out-of-bounds line over there in front of the benches. Does stay in. Here is Darby Olive. She has a defender draped all over her in Davis. Ball eventually does get back to North Georgia's captain in Sierra Fowler, one of the captains on this North Georgia team, along with Darby Olive and Kat Watry as well. Don't think we're going to be able to see Kat Watry in this matchup, unfortunately. But a lot of veteran talent on this North Georgia team. Here is Grace McGill. McGill makes a defender stumble as the ball will take a couple bounces right to the feet of Beto for the goal kick. Beto had 9 saves in the Hurricanes' 2-0 win at USC Aiken on the road last Saturday. Had a big stop against a PK in the 78th minute against the Pacers. She's had multiple clean sheets this season. As Aronoff tries to work her way around the defense. Aronoff has some room to work. She keeps the shot on the ground, tries to recover. North Georgia maintains possession, but it does eventually roll out of play for a throw-in here. Looks like it's going to be Georgia Southwestern's ball. So the Hurricanes are going to throw in just behind that light post here on the near side of the field. Here is Odinger with the ball. She's got a defender on her. A couple bodies hit the turf. It's going to end up as a Nighthawk throw-in now. A couple more bodies hit the turf. This time McGill. Here's Elise Baresi, who is getting the starting nod in this game as well. Her 4th start of the season. Clark tries to weave her way into the box. She maintains possession. She takes the shot, and that's off the fingertips of Beto. And Devin Beto showing right there why she deserves that PBC Goalkeeper of the Week award.
Yeah, as you take a look back at that replay, it was good by Beto right there to block that from possibly getting headed in by a Nighthawk. And you said it right there, Goalkeeper of the Week award. I think she's earned it.
So North Georgia is going to be awarded the corner kick, the first opportunity of the game for either team. Stays on the ground, takes a bounce in the box. This back line for Georgia Southwestern clears it. Southwestern's defense has been their strong suit during this 3-game winning streak as well. Back-to-back shutouts against USC Aiken and Albany State for the Lady Hurricanes. Only allowed 1 goal against Flagler and their high-powered offense. Here's Wheeler, who gives it on the far side to Chloe Diaz. Diaz tries to trickle it into the box. And again, Southwestern makes the stop for the time being, but it gets back to the feet of Wheeler. Wheeler's going to take the shot and right into the chest of Beto. That one hooked a bit farther right on the play. That shot from Wheeler. So it's going to be a goal kick here for Beto. But Wheeler really starting to get into a groove over the last handful of games for North Georgia. Now with 4 goals on the season, second on this North Georgia squad. Tied with her teammate Chloe Diaz, who has 4 goals as well. Here is Alexa Arnoff, gives it off to Olive. Couple touches back and forth between a couple of veterans and miscommunication there as Southwestern takes over. Trying to make something happen in transition. Here is Alex Clark. Gives it back to Fowler. Battle for it at midfield, ends up back in North Georgia's possession. Here's Barasi trying to make her way past midfield. Ball gets back to Alexa Arnoff. Fruits trying to find an open Nighthawk past midfield. As we are going to have a whistle and a foul for the contact. It's kind of hard to hear that one, but we saw the players walking back to get into position. North Georgia awarded the free kick. Darby Olive's going to take the shot, and this is going to be saved by Beto. Nighthawks have definitely been keeping the Peach Bell Conference goalkeeper of the week on her toes. That's now 5 shots for North Georgia through these first 15 minutes.
Yeah, just like what we saw in the last game with the men's soccer team against Flagler. Really, North Georgia out here coming out and dominating in their attacking third. Georgia Southwestern not really having any shots so far.
Yeah, the time of possession definitely favoring North Georgia here through these opening few minutes of the first half. Southwestern tries to make a play. This is crossed into the box. Almost had a chance of sneaking in that top right corner on that shot by Darby Olive. But it is going to be another corner opportunity awarded to North Georgia, their third of the game. This is also very similar to what we saw from the North Georgia men's soccer team earlier today against Flagler, where they just had a ton of corner opportunities to open up the game.
Yeah, and it's just all about executing, and we got to see what North Georgia does here. I mean, men's team were able to do it earlier.
That's headed out of there by Southwestern's back line, and they recover at midfield. That was Giuliano standing tall there in the box for Georgia Southwestern to make the play. Now the Nighthawks back line trying to make it past midfield. That's picked off by Southwestern, as we are going to have a whistle going against North Georgia. It looks like clock will continue to roll. It looks like there's just a little bit too much contact there. So it's going to give Southwestern the free kick with 27:40 to go. See some players getting warmed up on the right side of the bench for North Georgia. What's really been key for Coach Ralton here in these games are the substitutions that she's able to make, especially in the first half when she inserts some subs off the bench to provide a spark plug for her. Ball stays alive in the box for Southwestern. Hurricanes still trying to maintain possession of the ball. It's just a great play by North Georgia's back line, trying to find Sam Cottle on the play. It will bounce out of bounds, and so Alexa Arnoff will throw in.
That's good by North Georgia to get the stop there. Really, Georgia Southwestern's what looks like their best opportunity for anything on their attacking third all game. Good for North Georgia to get a stop.
Here is the captain, Darby Olive, crosses it into the box, keeps it low. Hurricanes bobble that, and that was a bit of a bobble there from Darby Olive. Didn't have quite enough underneath that one. Right idea, though, by Olive to recover and get back into the play. Just couldn't maintain possession of the ball. So the Hurricanes are going to make a substitution with 26:15 to go in this first half, as Carson Wingett will step off. And it looks like Lucia Bustamante is going to step on here for Georgia Southwestern. The junior from Alpharetta, Georgia, trying to provide some energy off the bench here for the Lady Hurricanes. Clark tries to weave her way into the box. She's got some room to work. Now has the pressure on her. Nighthawks eventually get it to an open player. So they leave it on the near side for Darby Olive. As Alexa Arnoff had a defender on her for a moment, she trips. That's Bustamante, who just stepped onto the field. This one takes just a single bounce in front of Beto for a goal kick. And this is a great matchup between these two goalkeepers in Sierra Fowler and Elena Beto. She is the first GCSU player to win multiple weekly awards in a career. Won the Goalkeeper of the Week award last year on September 22nd. She's still got a lot of soccer ahead of her, as well as she's just a sophomore. Nighthawks are forced back to midfield. Now get it to an open Darby Olive. Emily Davis had the ball for a moment there for Southwestern. Now to Ella Moody, and Clark takes it away. Clark with a defender on her right hip. Keeps the ball at her feet, makes the defender spin, tries to get into the box. That's off the back foot of Cottle. And now off the back of Cottle as this one stays in the box and eventually cleared back to midfield. And that connection between Clark and Cottle is going to have this back line for Georgia Southwestern on their toes here in this game.
Yeah, we've seen that pretty much this whole match, this whole game for the most part. North Georgia just dominating so far down the field.
Nice move there by Grace McGill to try to get around the defender on that play, but which results in a throw-in for North Georgia. Pressure on over there by the light post, so it's going to be a throw-in for GSW. Southwestern looking to get it in. As they finally do find Emily Davis, senior from Watkinsville, Georgia. Siami Bagno gets it downfield right to the head of Aronoff. So Bagno will throw in. Junior from France. Nighthawks do keep the ball in play. They try to find McGill over there as Wheeler tries to get a touch. Now Emily Davis gets it back into the circle. And Chloe Diaz stopping any sort of momentum there from GSW, just lets the ball roll out of play, as it looks like the Nighthawks are going to make a substitution with 21:32 to go, as Cottle will step off for North Georgia. And Blanca Cruz stepping on the field for North Georgia. Cruz winning the Peach Belt Conference Player of the Week award after week 1 of the regular season. Has a pair of goals this year. A very accurate striker. 11 shots, 5 on goal for the freshman. As she checks immediately into the game, looking to make an impact here in the corner. As that ball deflects off of a Nighthawk, so it will be GSW's ball. Hurricanes try to get it into Bustamante. McGill almost had a chance there, but Tessa Balsman cuts off that pass to the sophomore. Clark trying to get her way here on this play. Southwestern makes the stop as we have a whistle and a foul going against North Georgia. And Devin, there's a lot on the line for these two teams. You know, we know North Georgia number 1 in the Peach Belt Conference right now. Georgia Southwestern not too far behind them in the standings, and you know they're really playing with house money here. North Georgia, the favorites coming into this matchup, especially when you look at the historical matchups between these two teams. Southwestern in search of their first win in program history against North Georgia. Through these first 25 minutes, they have looked pretty strong here against the best team in the PBC, according to the standings right now in North Georgia.
Yeah, and so far able to hold off North Georgia because, I mean, you look at you mentioned the history and stuff between these two programs. Georgia Southwestern's never won a game against North Georgia, but really in recent history, North Georgia really hasn't scored more than 4 goals a game against Georgia Southwestern.
So North Georgia is going to be awarded the free kick just to the right of midfield as Wheeler moves it back a couple of feet. And this is also a rematch of the opening round of the Peach Belt Conference tournament last year. North Georgia ended Georgia Southwestern season last year with an opening win in the PBC tournament, taking down the Lady Hurricanes 3-0 right back here at the UNG soccer field back on November 6th of last season. It's a little bit of a redemption game here for Southwestern as well.
Yeah, we'll see what Georgia Southwestern has in store today. I mean, they've been turning it up a little bit as of recent. When you look at their schedule, their results over the past few games, it's going to be a good matchup. This might be one of the better Georgia Southwestern teams North Georgia's faced off against.
Especially, yes, like you said, compared to years past, these two teams have looked essentially even here in this first matchup. North Georgia has maintained time of possession a little bit more than Georgia Southwestern has, but this back line for the Lady Hurricanes has really done a good job of wrapping up North Georgia. We'll see if they can make a play here with Blanca Cruz, who keeps it on the ground for Darby Olive. Olive tries to take the shot. That one just a couple inches away from the cleat of Olive, and so it gets away back to midfield. Nighthawks trying to make their way into the box here as Clark takes the shot. This one is going to soar over the blue and white striped goal here at the UNG soccer field for a goal kick for Beto. Clark, she has taken her game to another level this season. Has a pair of goals, a pair of assists this year. has taken 8 shots coming into this matchup. 4 have been on goal. And she's had some really big assignments for the Nighthawks over the last few weeks or so. She did a fantastic job guarding one of the best players in the country in Andrea Fernandez a couple weeks ago against Flagler. So on both ends of the field, she has taken her game up a step. And she was great last season as well, had a good freshman season as well. Nighthawks almost got that one into Grace McGill. As Barisi takes it over at midfield. Now to Aronoff. Aronoff tries to find McGill. McGill's going to take the shot from way outside. Soars over the goal. But when McGill's got that sort of room to work with, it's definitely not what you want to see if you're Georgia Southwestern's back line. 9 times out of 10, McGill's going to make you pay with some room like that.
Yeah, that shot was shot from pretty far away, but even North Georgia, you've seen what happened towards the end of the second half of the men's game. North Georgia taking more shots further away from the goal. I'm starting to kind of see that with this Nighthawks squad, too, and the women's team. We'll see how long Georgia Southwestern's back line holds up. It seems like North Georgia's already starting to break through it already.
Nighthawks with 9 shots in the first half. 4 of them have been on goal. Southwestern is yet to record a shot in this one against the All-American Sierra Fowler. Could see that change towards the end of the first half here or into the second. Nighthawks are going to get another corner opportunity here. Their 4th of the game. Well, actually, it is going to be a corner kick over there on the far side. It'll be Aronoff to take it. As Aronoff sends it in, that's headed out of there by Georgia Southwestern. Still stays in the box. Ball didn't go too far away from the goal, but it does now to midfield. Here's Fruits, tries to chip it to Odinger. As the ball gingerly rolls out of play for stays Southwestern's possession. That one almost ended up rolling out of bounds. But a nice job by North Georgia to put the pressure on to keep the ball in play. Here is Clark trying to use her speed now the Nighthawks are going to be forced into their back line. Now at midfield. Nighthawks only with 1 substitution so far in this first half. Southwestern takes over. A battle for it on the right side of the field as we have a whistle and a foul. A couple of bodies hit the turf. Some nice sportsmanship shown there between the Nighthawks and the Lady Hurricanes as Wheeler and Brunner had hit the turf. Saw a high-five exchange between the two of them after that play. McGill with the touch back to Michael Fruits. Barisi at midfield. Gives it to Clark. And Southwestern's really trying to keep North Georgia over to the left and the right sides of the fields. Haven't really been able to see much up the middle for the Nighthawks here in this first half. You've really been forced to the left and right side with Olive trying to make a play closest to you and Clark trying to make a play over there on the right. As a great sliding tackle is made over there on the far side by Tony Clark. So the Nighthawks will get a chance to throw in. As we approach 12 minutes remaining, trying to get it into Grace McGill. It looks like Southwestern has a substitution waiting at midfield. Nighthawks have only made one substitution themselves, with Blanca Cruz coming into the game. And it looks like for this matchup, at least North Georgia's also going to be without Kimora Hall in this one, the freshman out of Frisco, Texas. Has a wrap over there on her left leg. She usually provides a great spark off the bench for this North Georgia team, coming in really a time just like this where, the offense kind of needs to change things up a bit and comes into the game late in the first half. Southwestern tries to take the shot, and a great save by the senior Sierra Fowler, who makes the stop. Hasn't really been tested much here in this first half, but she stays on her toes to make the play.
Yeah, we look at the replay here. It was a great save by Sierra Fowler. And that's why she's in the goalkeeping position for North Georgia, is to make plays like that. And I mean, it's a good thing that she's back this season after the exodus of seniors we had at the end of the season last year.
Nighthawks on the left side. This one just misses that right side of the goal. And it's going to be a goal kick here for Southwestern. Nighthawks almost caught the Southwestern back line off guard.
Yeah, North Georgia almost had another shot like what Georgia Southwestern did. Unfortunately, just this one too right to the post.
Yeah, that one just a little bit too strong on the pass to Blanca Cruz. Had to kind of veer off to the right. The Nighthawks keep the ball on the left side of the field. They've got a good opportunity here with Cruz, who takes another shot. This one is going right into the mitts, though, of Beto.
Yeah, that was a direct shot on the goal. But Beto it was like a laser straight to Beto.
And a nice job
from Blanca Cruz.
Absolutely. It was just a nice job by Cruz to stay with the play as well after the missed shot just a few moments ago. Didn't hang her head and let one fly. That one right to the middle of the goal. Wheeler tries to take it away at midfield. Here is Georgia Southwestern trying to get a through ball over on the far side to Ella Moody. Fowler comes far out to just boot this one almost out of play, just past the treehouse. As we are now under 10 minutes to play here in the first half at the UNG soccer field, still knotted at 0-0 between North Georgia and Georgia Southwestern. Again, glad to have you all with us here tonight alongside Devin Kupka, Robert D. Clementi on hand for you for this matchup. Nighthawks will throw in just to the right of their bench. Right next to Coach Ralton, the 2023 Peach Belt Conference Women's Soccer Coach of the Year. Had her best season in 2023 last year as the Nighthawks finished 14-2-2, made it all the way to the second round of the NCAA tournament. And she's following up that historic season with another great one at 8-1-1 at this point in the season. She could be well on her way to being the back-to-back Coach of the Year in the PBC.
Yeah, and Coach Ralton doing a very good job every year that she's taken over the North Georgia program. The women's team has made the NCAA program, but there might be a little competition this year. Columbus State, third-ranked team in the nation. North Georgia 1 week from today. Going to have to face off against them. Going to be a huge matchup next weekend.
No doubt about it. That is going to be just an enormous matchup for a lot of things are on the line in that matchup. Like you said, their PBC, Coach of the Year award, that could be the game that potentially decides that one. A big game in the PBC standings as well. And Columbus State has almost sort of become the sort of step-in rival for North Georgia, really across almost all their sports ever since Young Harris left the PBC.
Yeah, you see it in softball, and you definitely see it here in women's soccer as well. And, softball coming down to the wire in the Peach Belt Conference tournament. same thing for here. Regular season tournament, these are normally the two best teams in the Peach Belt Conference when it comes to those two sports, but you're kind of seeing Columbus State, they're kind of rising up the ranks and really looking at North Georgia as their main rival now.
Absolutely. Really, any sport. It's a fun matchup to see the Nighthawks and the Cougars face off. Baseball also gave North Georgia a great regular season series last year. The Nighthawks were able to come away with the win over there at the Steiner in the spring. So we're looking forward to that matchup. Right now, North Georgia has the free kick in dangerous territory over there on the far right side of the field, as Wheeler will try to send it in, trying to find Blanca Cruz, it looked like, on the play. Ball takes a couple of bounces, stays on the left side of the field, gets back to Wheeler. Wheeler forced to the right side, almost goes out of play, and it does as Wheeler takes quite the tumble to the turf. She's a little bit slow to get up. She's taken a little bit of a beating this year as well. We've seen her hit the turf a couple of times, seen her unfortunately have to come out of the game once a few weeks ago in a game that the Nighthawks had here back at home. That's definitely a player that you want to keep upright as the clock is going to stop here as Wheeler may be coming off the field. She's still on her feet, but she's just going to walk off the field as the Nighthawks make a substitution with 5:15 to go. And Devin, that's definitely not a player that you want to see go down if you're North Georgia.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, definitely want her out there. She's got 4 goals on the season so far for North Georgia, second most. But, we just kind of have to rally around and adjust to the situation at hand.
So Emma Moreau comes on for Wheeler, the freshman out of Keller, Texas. Steps on with 5:15 remaining in the first half. The corner is sent in from North Georgia. Ball stays alive in the box for the Nighthawks as they try to track it down on the far side. Ball does stay in play, deflects off a Lady Hurricane, so it will be a North Georgia throw-in. Ball goes out of play yet again. Moreau making her 8th appearance of the season for North Georgia, has a goal and an assist this year. Had her first collegiate goal not too long ago against Georgia College. It looks like the Nighthawks are going to make another substitution under 5 minutes to go in the first half. So Odinger will step off, and Megan O'Brien checks into the game for North Georgia. And O'Brien is one of the most underrated players on this North Georgia team. Appeared in 20 games last year, had 6 starts, had 4 goals and 6 assists last year to lead the Nighthawks in helpers. Nobody home there for North Georgia on the play, and so Southwestern takes over. Couple of bodies hit the turf as we have a whistle and a foul. Darby Olive is not too pleased with the call there, but it will be a North Georgia free kick nonetheless. Devin, this has been a pretty intense first half. We've seen, a lot of plays from both of these teams where they're turning up the intensity to 110%, and the refs are on top of it with these whistles.
Yeah, we've seen those fouls come out, and I'm kind of surprised there hasn't been much of an offensive explosion from North Georgia in this matchup yet.
Southwestern again takes care of the free kick there from North Georgia. over there on the far side as Nighthawks do keep it in play, as the Nighthawk is going to be tripped up just outside the box. Clock will stop for the yellow card. That is just a tough break for Georgia Southwestern, who has really made some fantastic plays with this back line through this first half. But this is going to give the Nighthawks a free kick just outside the box and a great spot here as they try to take the 1-0 lead. So with 2:42 to go, looks like it's going to be Diaz potentially to take it over there on the far side. Looks like it is going to be Aronoff over there to take the free kick. As Aronoff sends it in, this one soars well over the goal and out of play for a goal kick for Beto. And it looks like Aronoff just wanted to let it fly on that shot, Devin, as she tried to find the back of the net.
Yeah, just the kick was a little too high over the net, and you want to get that one a little bit lower to the ground as we still remain scoreless in this first half.
That yellow card was assessed to Giuliano for Georgia Southwestern just a few moments ago. First yellow card thrown in this game. Southwestern trying to get this over to the right side of the field. Haven't seen too much action on the right side of your screen through these first 45 minutes. North Georgia has really been putting the pressure on Southwestern over here on the left side, as this one will deflect out of play off of a Lady Hurricane. Nighthawks will get it in. We have another whistle. Looks like this one is going to go against North Georgia. Southwestern will throw in. A minute 30 to go in the first 45. Still donuts up on the scoreboard. One of these teams is just trying to do anything that they can to go into the locker room with the lead. You got to think if a goal is scored, then whoever ends up putting one up on the board is going into the locker room with the lead, with how good these two back lines have played. Now 1 minute to go. Nighthawks could make one final push. They thrive during these late game situations like this with the clock ticking down. We've seen a handful of times where the Nighthawks have able to put a goal up on the board with not that much time remaining on the clock. So we'll see what they can do here, as maybe a miscommunication from North Georgia as Bustamante takes over. This one will bounce out of play, and Georgia Southwestern is going to get a late corner opportunity in this one with 20 seconds to go. They got to get in position quickly. Good opportunity here for the Lady Hurricanes. Now with 10 seconds to go. Bustamante sends in the corner. This is headed away by the Hurricanes and will bounce out of play. And it looks like that is the last of the action that we will see from the first 45 minutes. Lady Hurricanes almost had a chance to squeak in a goal and come away with the 1-0 lead at halftime, but we are knotted at 0-0 heading into the locker rooms. A great matchup here between North Georgia and Georgia Southwestern on our hands this afternoon. We will step aside for a short commercial break. You're watching North Georgia Soccer on the Nighthawk Sports Network.
All right, show me how you did that again. I'm here.
You've got a lot of reasons to be here.
I'm here.
That's why we're here. At Georgia Heart Institute, our breakthroughs in artificial intelligence could accurately model and predict future heart problems decades in advance, so you can make plans today to be just where you're needed tomorrow.
I'm here.
The future of heart care. We're leading Georgia there. Georgia Heart Institute.
The road to national championships runs through NCAA.com. And whether you follow one college team or all of them, it's never been easier to get the content you want with NCAA.com, the home of college sports.
At the heart of America's gold rush stands a beacon of leadership, tradition, and excellence. A university that has always led the way, forging an environment for broad-based academics, world-class athletics, and tomorrow's military leaders. The University of North Georgia. Learning and leadership, passion and preparation, transformation and tradition. We are the University of North Georgia.
Back with you here on the Nighthawk Sports Network, where we are knotted at 0-0 in our Peach Belt Conference women's soccer matchup between North Georgia and Georgia Southwestern here in the Gold City. As we take a look at some of the stats from the first half, like we mentioned, neither team was able to come away with a goal in the final few minutes of the half. The Nighthawks with 12 shots against Beto in that first half compared to 2 against Sierra Fowler for Georgia Southwestern in the first 45. 5 of those shots were on goal for North Georgia. One of those shots for Southwestern ended up coming on goal. Lots of corner opportunities for North Georgia in the first half with 5. Southwestern got one very, very late with about 30 seconds to go in that first half to try to make something happen. But a very clean game between these two teams. Been a lot of action going on, but just one yellow card assessed in this one going to Georgia Southwestern. And Sierra Fowler has one save under her belt in this one, and Beto with 5 for herself. Devin, what stands out to you the most on that halftime stats sheet?
That it's kind of been a defensive struggle hold for the most of the game. Obviously North Georgia in this game has gotten more in their attacking third, way more than Georgia Southwestern has, but you got to give it up for Georgia Southwestern. Their goalkeeper's doing a phenomenal job today, keeping up with the pressure given from North Georgia. And Robert, I really think this is kind of turning out very similarly to what happened in the North Georgia and Flagler game we saw earlier, where North Georgia dominates their attacking third. And really, that's just been the story of really the whole day.
Yeah, absolutely. Georgia Southwestern, they have really done a good job of limiting North Georgia's opportunities. This is a North Georgia team that has scored 10 goals over their last 2 games, 7 against Albany State and 3 against Georgia College. But North Georgia's back line has done a great job themselves of keeping Georgia Southwestern off the board, limiting them to just 2 shots through the first 45 minutes in this one. A busy day around the Peach Belt Conference in regards to women's soccer. Flagler and Clayton State tied 1-1 in the first game of the day. GCSU taking down Lander as well. USC Beaufort with a big 4-0 win over Albany State. Columbus State taking down USC Aiken 3-0 just before this game started. And, of course, we are covering the North Georgia Southwestern game here in Dahlonega, still knotted up on the board. North Georgia, they have got a couple matchups on the horizon with some of the teams that we just mentioned, Clayton State, Columbus State, coming up for them in their next 2 games. And so it's going to be interesting to see how the Peach Belt Conference kind of rounds itself out here in the final few games of the regular season.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to see how all of that does turn out. I mean, you've got 3 teams within first place of the conference. North Georgia leading, Columbus State tied for second, and then USC Beaufort in third. And the thing about it, though, is that we got a big game. I know we've got, if you look at the North Georgia women's soccer schedule, we've got Clayton State after this, but then you're on the road against Columbus State next Saturday at 2 o'clock down in Columbus, Georgia. It's going to be a huge game. But also North Georgia women's soccer team, number 3 Columbus State, number 7 Lenore Rhine the night before Halloween right here in Dahlonega. It's going to be an interesting way to end the season, regular season for the women's soccer team.
No doubt about it. Those last 2 matchups of the season for North Georgia at Columbus State, they're the 3rd-ranked team in the country, and Lenore Rhine, the 7th-ranked team in the country right now. And so it's going to be a really spectacular final 2 games to round out the regular season for North Georgia. With the all-new online retail store, fans can wear what the Nighthawks wear. Fans can choose from name brands like Nike, Ultra Club, Port Authority, and more. The Sideline Shop features gear for all situations. Get your apparel today at NighthawkSidelineShop.com. Definitely got to get a T-shirt or a polo with that sweet new NG logo that you can see at midfield and that you can see on some of our new merch.
Yes, you do. Got to get some. I got to get some. It's getting cold outside. They got some sweatshirts. Got a sweatshirt for $25. You can't beat that.
Yeah, I can't beat that price.
And T-shirts are under $30. Can't beat that. So go check out the Nighthawk sideline collection on Nighthawk's sidelinesshop.com.
Especially with all the people we got here for the Gold Rush weekend as well. Why don't you leave with some fresh new UNG merch? 45 minutes down, 45 to go. We'll step aside for another short commercial break on the Nighthawk Sports Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by the Northeast Georgia Health System, the official healthcare partner of UNG Athletics. Bryan Properties, serving all your commercial real estate needs. Dahlonega Resort and Vineyard. Escape to the North Georgia mountains for your next weekend getaway. Achasta. Golf, community, and tranquility. Coca-Cola, the official sideline provider for North Georgia Athletics.
Back with you here on the Nighthawk Sports Network on a gorgeous 74-degree Saturday evening here at the UNG soccer field, where we have a tied ball game between two PBC foes in North Georgia and Georgia Southwestern, tied at 0-0. Neither team able to break through in the first half. A first half where North Georgia maintained a lot of time of possession in that one. Saw a lot of action on the left side of the field. Georgia Southwestern in the final few minutes gave North Georgia a handful of scares there to end the first half. Devin, if either one of these teams wants to come away with the win tonight, what do they have to change here coming into the second half?
I think North Georgia is going to have to find opportunities, holes in the defense of Georgia Southwestern going into the second half, because North Georgia is one of the better shooting teams in the Peach Belt Conference, and Georgia Southwestern is holding up very well against the Nighthawks tonight. I think they're just going to have to find holes and execute every opportunity they have, and it's kind of turning into what the men's team was kind of struggling with the past two games, was finishing within the box, and that's what North Georgia is going to have to figure out in the second half.
Nighthawks with 12 shots off during that first half. They average almost 19 per game this season. That's second in the PBC and 12th in the entire country. Like you mentioned, Devin, a very accurate team when it comes to firing off shots as well. 10 shots on goal per game, which is the 5th best in the entire country. So 45 minutes down, 45 to go here in the Gold City. The lights have started to come on here at the UNG soccer field. Not sure if we'll get the sun set by the time this matchup is over. But it's always fun to play these nighttime games here at Lynn Cottrell Park when the sun goes down and tends to get the crowd a little bit more fired up as well.
Yeah, it's always nice to play more towards the evening hours. The temperatures go down, especially during the early part of the season. Always cool. And we cap off a great, guess it's going to go into the evening hours kind of. Great day of soccer action here at North Georgia.
Yeah, if you missed our discussion in the first half or missed the first game of our doubleheader on the Nighthawk Sports Network, North Georgia men's soccer coming away with the big 2-1 win over Flagler earlier today at the UNG soccer field with a last-second goal from Jorge Sandoval, the hero in that game for North Georgia. Gave them the 2-1 win. Had that goal with 16 seconds remaining. So we had a great game to start the day here at the UNG soccer field, and it's shaping up to be a good one to end the day as well. Ball gets to midfield. A battle between a Lady Hurricane and a Nighthawk ends up in North Georgia's possession, but they are forced back to midfield. Sides have now flipped, so Fowler will be on the left and Beto on the right. These first few minutes of this matchup are going to be very important for really either team in this one. Come out of halftime, you've had a chance to take a little bit of a break especially if you're one of the starters for the Lady Hurricanes or for the Nighthawks, and come into this game and try to find any sort of hole in these two back lines, which have just been sensational so far in this game. Brunner tries to track it down. She's going to have a shot that gets past Fowler. Cassidy Brunner, the freshman, gives the Lady Hurricanes the lead early in this second half.
Yeah, it was a one-on-one situation with Sierra Fowler, and Brunner puts the first goal up on the game. And that's the thing you were worried about for North Georgia's these opportunities, is that they've been so focused on attacking downfield. What was it going to do to the back defensive line? And we saw what happened there. A one-on-one situation with Fowler, and Brunner able to get the goal in to put Georgia Southwestern in the lead.
That's now the fourth goal of the season for Cassidy Brunner, now tied for first on the team in goals with Giuliano, that is. And a big one there, one of the biggest of her collegiate career, just a freshman, and has a big goal against the number 1 team in the PBC in North Georgia. And very rarely this season have you seen North Georgia trail a game. This is just the 4th time this season where they've been down against an opponent.
And also, Robert, let alone trail Georgia Southwestern. This is the first time the Hurricanes have gotten a goal on North Georgia since September of 2018.
You're exactly right, Devin. They are definitely righting their wrongs here, or I guess steering the ship in a different direction, I should say, against North Georgia, as the Hurricanes are trying to spoil senior day here at the UNG soccer field, as that goal squeaked past Sierra Fowler. A rare sight to see her let up a goal.
Definitely not something that we normally see from Sierra Fowler.
She's consistently been one of the best goalkeepers in the country, especially when it comes to clean sheets. She was top 10 in the country last year in clean sheets, and she lets up a goal here against Georgia Southwestern. This is the first time that a Coach Ralton team has allocated a goal to Georgia Southwestern. So the Lady Hurricanes coming out looking very impressive here at the UNG soccer field.
So far, they've been the aggressors in the second half, and we've seen what it got them so far.
Odinger has that one taken away from her from behind. Ball will roll out of play, and it'll be a North Georgia throw-in on the right side of the field. So we'll see how the Nighthawks respond here. That goal coming within the first 5 minutes of the second half. And we just talked about how these first few minutes were going to be very important to try to find some cracks in the back lines for both of these teams. And Southwestern was able to get an opportunity and make the most of it. And it looks like the clock is going to stop, and a yellow card is going to be assessed. It was hard to tell exactly who that was on. It was going against North Georgia.
That's the second penalty North Georgia's committed in this half already, not even 5 minutes in.
That one potentially going to North Georgia's bench, it looks like. As the referee was right over there on the sideline, looked like he was facing the Nighthawk bench. As we're going to have another whistle and a foul and another yellow card, back-to-back yellows assessed on the Nighthawks right here. This one going against Chloe Diaz, and a bit of frustration shown here from North Georgia.
Yeah, and this is a situation where you don't want it to get out of control in the second half. That's the third penalty North Georgia has committed within the first 5 minutes of the second half. And this is another opportunity for Georgia Southwestern.
And so the clock stops with 40:03 to go. We'll continue to roll here after back-to-back yellows on this North Georgia team. Ball takes a couple of bounces. Grace McGill tries to keep possession for North Georgia. Ball does make its way out of play. The Nighthawks do get it in.
Things are starting to get feisty between these two teams, and I mentioned there just a minute ago not to lose yourself in this one, where potential maybe red card comes out or any more penalties or fouls, because we're seeing that from North Georgia early in the second half and setting up Georgia Southwestern in position to score.
Nighthawks trying to make something have an opportunity here. Ball does roll out of play. Hits the North Georgia soccer logo over there on the right side of the field. So it's going to give the Nighthawks a corner opportunity here early in this second half. We saw the Nighthawks with a flurry of corner opportunities in the first 5, that is. And so this is their 6th of the game as they'll take it from the far side of the field. So they send the corner in, stays in the air and into the midst of the goalkeeper for Southwestern. Ball does make its way out of play, and it will be Southwestern's ball as the Lady Hurricanes back line stands strong.
Yeah, we take a look back at that. That could have been a big opportunity for North Georgia because the goalkeeper actually dropped the ball inside the box, but a North Georgia attacker just not there to send it back into play.
Yeah, Beto made the stop, but like you mentioned, Evan, definitely lost track of it for the moment. And there was a Nighthawk in the area that you saw on that replay who just couldn't make a play on the ball there. Nighthawks still putting pressure on this right side of the field with Chloe Diaz. Diaz and the Nighthawks are forced back, and Southwestern takes over. Tried to get it into Alex Clark. Now to Olive. And starting this second half for North Georgia, a player that we briefly mentioned at the beginning of the game, who we didn't think we were going to see in this matchup, but we are, is the senior out of Alpharetta, Georgia, Kat Watry, now on the field for the Nighthawks with the pink captain's band on her left arm.
And that's a huge addition to this North Georgia lineup because we had the loss of a lot of some very talented seniors last year. Kat Watry has filled that role. Has certainly filled that role, and it's good to see her back out on the field. Now North Georgia's, no pun intended here, but main goal is to get a goal.
As we are going to have doesn't look like a stoppage of time, but the referee did blow the whistle there, but it's going to be a free kick for GSW. So no yellow thrown on the play. Grace McGill just a little too aggressive with the contact.
Looks like it might have been foul on number 7, Ballsman.
So the Hurricanes send this one into the box, takes a couple of bounces as Sierra Fowler collects. So Southwestern has only gotten 3 shots off on Sierra Fowler in this game. 2 of them have been on goal, 1 finding the back of the net. Nighthawks still looking for their first shot here in this second half. Looks like the Nighthawks are going to make another substitution as Darby Olive steps off. Nighthawks almost get it into the box. And Campbell Young stepping on the field for North Georgia, the freshman out of Fort Worth, Texas, making her first appearance in this game for Coach Ralton. Young, a do-it-all athlete when she was in high school. Competed in basketball, softball, volleyball, track and field, and cross country, all in addition to soccer. She was just a sensational athlete coming out of Lake County Christian. This ball does make its way out of play. We also have to address as well, she was valedictorian on top of all that.
It's just a crazy amount of accolades, something that I couldn't do.
Oh, man, that is just quite the accomplishments racking up in high school. Her high school actually did not have a women's soccer program. She played club soccer with the Sting Soccer Club in the Elite Club National League, and that's where she was discovered by the UNG coaching staff. Ball stays in the box for North Georgia, eventually cleared out by GSW. Nighthawks almost get it to midfield. Chloe Diaz trying to find an open Young over there on the far side. She's tripped up as the Hurricanes take over for the time being. North Georgia's back line trying to make a play here, moving the ball back and forth. This North Georgia back line also just tops in the Peach Belt Conference every single season. They've had multiple players on their back line receiving, PBC weekly awards at the end of the season as well. But Georgia Southwestern has been able to find the cracks in this defense as it looks like the Nighthawks make another substitution. I believe that is Blanca Cruz stepping back into the game for North Georgia. And typically, whenever Coach Ralton makes a substitution, it pays off as a couple bodies hit the turf there for North Georgia and GSW. No card thrown there on the play. Just looked like a couple players getting tangled up there. Nothing really to it.
Yeah, this has been a very feisty second half that both the players are getting into, because when you look at the men's soccer, when you just look at men's soccer and overall compared to women's soccer, normally the men's soccer teams, whenever they're facing off against each other, they're very feisty and they'll tend to get in each other's faces. And that's what we're kind of getting the vibe here in the women's game. Is we're getting that. It's just very feisty and kind of tempers are running amok right now.
Especially because this is definitely not a position that I think North Georgia anticipated being in at this point in the game. Clock's ticking down with 33 minutes to go in this matchup, and they are in a one-goal hole here against GSW.
Still a lot of time left in this game, but North Georgia going to have to continue showing more of these looks, being their attacking third.
Diaz does a good job of keeping the ball in play for North Georgia. Barisi gives it back to Michael Fruits. As Young makes it past midfield, tries to get a through ball over there on the far side into Blanca Cruz. Ball takes an awkward spin to stay in play, and it's cleared by Georgia Southwestern right in front of North Georgia's bench. Ball makes its way back to the turf. Diaz now with the ball in the circle. She's got a defender all over her as the Nighthawks are forced to change their plans. They make their way into the box on this play. A stop there by GSW as this goes right to the feet of GSW's goalkeeper. A Lady Hurricane may have been a bit shaken up there on the play, but she's back up to her feet, and so everybody can kind of take a breath here as Beto will just try to boot this one downfield. We'll see if the Nighthawks can try to get Kat Watry involved here somehow, as we're going to have a foul from behind against Grace McGill. May get her for the contact there on the play.
Yeah, that's the stuff you want to avoid, because now those numbers are starting to creep up in North Georgia, because that's their seventh foul committed.
So the clock will stop with 31:05 to go as a Hurricane is down just outside of the box. So the trainers will come out onto the field. And you mentioned it, Devin. This has been a very aggressive second half with, the adrenaline and the stakes, and everybody's heart rate's kind of turning up to, about 120% here at the UNG soccer field. We've seen a lot of bodies hit the turf for both teams, a couple yellows here in the second half as well. It's been a very aggressive game as GSW's they're looking to make history tonight against North Georgia.
Yeah, to get their first program win against the Nighthawks, at least for the women's soccer team. Right now they're up 1-0, and North Georgia going to have to find some discipline on here, because there's already been 3 fouls committed by the Nighthawks, 3 kind of big ones, I feel like. And, they're down 1-0. Just keep your composure a little bit. Not have things spiral out of control.
And we want to remind all the viewers at home one more time that North Georgia has got itself a sweet new looking logo here for the 2024 season and beyond. And you can now wear what the Nighthawks wear with brands such as Nike and a handful of others. Visit the NighthawkSidelineShop.com to pick up some sweet North Georgia gear. It's a great sight to see that the Lady Hurricane able to make her way off the field. I believe that was Bagno who had hit the turf there, but she is back over to the bench for GSW being attended to.
North Georgia has in store. This is probably outside of halftime. I feel like that's been the biggest stoppage of play we've had in this whole entire game. So maybe just readjust here, get ready for these last 30 minutes or so, and just lock in.
Kira Wilson tries to throw it in. Ball does roll out of play for now a Nighthawk throw in. Ball again rolls out of play for another quick North Georgia throw in, trying to get it to McGill, now to Diaz. But the good thing about North Georgia And their offense is on any given night. It can be any given player that can make you pay. 15 different Nighthawks have scored a goal this year, very similar to the numbers that we saw last year, where it got up to about 17 or 18 different Nighthawks during the 2023 season. Then it scored a goal for North Georgia, and so there are just so many players that the Nighthawks can turn to in a situation like this when they're trying to find the back of the net.
Yeah, and there's a lot of those goal scorers that North Georgia does have. I mean, you have two players tied for 5 goals apiece on the season so far for the Nighthawks.
Yeah, so while North Georgia could go to Cottle or Odinger, combining for 10 goals on the season to try to make something happen, there's just a flurry of North Georgia players who can make you pay. Adelaide Wheeler with 4 goals this season as well. Chloe Diaz with 4 herself. Maybe get Darby Olive involved here on senior day. She has 3 goals this season. That's a career high for her. As Clark pushes it back to midfield, maybe trying to involve one of the freshmen for North Georgia as well. We've seen a ton of Nighthawk freshmen this season step up in some big moments. Not afraid of anything on Coach Ralton's roster. I believe now it is 6 out of the 9 freshmen on this North Georgia team have come away with a goal this season. They're definitely, a lot of the young players are playing like 3rd and 4th year players on this North Georgia team.
And that's huge to have 2 tires. I mean, players to have that score that many goals, freshmen score the just at least 1 goal, 6 out of 9. That's a really good number. And I've been to too many NASCAR races this season. I keep saying tires.
So the ball does hit the turf. But it's almost the same sort of, thinking. You get some fresh tires into the game, some fresh, players into their collegiate seasons here at North Georgia, their first seasons.
If it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. They'd be changing tires out here on the pitch, and you'd be at a new different level. It would. Never mind. I'm not going to say that. It'd be equivalent to cleats, but they don't wear like tires do.
Getting some hints of the 5 to Go podcast here on the Nighthawk Sports Network.
Yeah. I was thinking about it. It's a big night for Georgia sports. If you're a resident here in Georgia, and you got the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Austin Hill and Chandler Smith going for a championship round of 8 start. Atlanta United, decision day for Major League Soccer. Must win tonight if they want to get into the playoffs, and then Georgia, Texas later on.
Baresi tries to cross it into the box as Cruz, great hustle there. She tracks it down, has the Nighthawk bench fired up. She tries to weave her way into the side of the box as she crosses it in. That one a bit too strong for Grace McGill on the play. McGill pressured from behind. Ball eventually rolls out of bounds for a goal kick for GSW. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Devin. It's just a big night for sports all around. Any UGA and UNG fans watching the game? Got Georgia, Texas coming up after the conclusion of this game.
And Atlanta United and facing off against their rival Orlando FC. Decision day in the MLS.
So you definitely got your options if you are a fan of Georgia sports. As Watry leaves it for Diaz. Diaz tries to work her way inside. Loses track of the ball for a moment. Gets it back. And she's pressured in the corner where McGill just lost control of the ball. And again, GSW making back-to-back stops over there in the far corner. So it's going to be a throw-in now for the Hurricanes over there in the sun on the far right corner of the field. Baresi gives it to McGill. McGill's had a lot of pressure on her in this game. Really hasn't had a ton of room to operate. Baresi tries to make her way into the box. Nighthawks maintain possession for the time being. Here is Blanca Cruz, leaves it for Aronoff. Aronoff looks like she's going to try to cross it in, but she'll leave it on the ground for Diaz. Diaz trying to find a Nighthawk in the box, and Cruz. Ball gets back to Wheeler. And GSW makes another stop for the time being, but the Nighthawks keep the pressure on. McGill tries to track down the ball. Lady Hurricane hits the turf, and Nighthawks still maintaining possession, and GSW again makes a stop, forces the Nighthawks back to midfield. Now 24 minutes to go.
Yeah, you're kind of feeling like the intensity is starting to pick up here, and this is where North Georgia's going to need to start making stuff happen. Down in their attacking third, and we'll see what they have in store, but, you know, the intensity, time's starting to run out. Still a lot of time on the board, but time is starting to run out, especially if you want to grab the win today. You got to get 2 goals in the next 24 minutes.
And we know this North Georgia team can score and score quickly. One of the best North Georgia scoring teams in recent history that we're seeing here in 2024. But like you said, Devin, they got to make something happen here with the clock winding down in this second half. So it's going to be a North Georgia throw-in in the far corner of the field. As the Nighthawks do get it in. They eventually make their way into the box, trying to find Kat Watry, it looks like, on the play. Here's a good opportunity for North Georgia as the header goes right, and Beto tracks it down. That's been one of the best opportunities that North Georgia has had to try to find some life on offense here in this second half. But again, GSW makes a stop. Ball gets down to midfield. North Georgia's only loss this season coming against Florida Tech back in September. This is the last time North Georgia lost a game this season, been over a calendar month. Trying to not make that happen here as Watry is tripped up in the box. No call. Ball gets back close to midfield in front of North Georgia's bench. Ball gets back to Watry, as we will have a whistle and a foul going against GSW. So it's going to give the Nighthawks a free kick in a good spot here just outside that left corner of the box. And it looks like Aronoff is going to be the one to take it.
Yeah, this is North Georgia's best opportunity they've had in the second half. They need an equalizer badly with only 22 minutes left to go.
And these are the opportunities where North Georgia has seen a lot of success on these plays where they get a free kick in a good position like this. They've got a handful of players in the box who can finish the play. They keep it on the ground. A little bit of trickery here by the Nighthawks, and GSW clears it behind UNG's bench.
And this is a game you're going to want to win because 2 out of your next 3 opponents are teams within the top 10 in the country. So this is we're starting to enter North Georgia into must-win territory here, especially with how tough the competition will be going forward.
Yeah, you definitely want to bring a lot of momentum going into their final 3 games of the regular season. Yeah, Clayton State on deck. And then they've got 2 top 10 teams that they've got to face in Columbus State and Lenore-Rhine. Lenore-Rhine, the regular season finale here for the Nighthawks at the UNG soccer field. That's going to be a very, very exciting matchup. Here is Barisi, tries to make her way into the box, leaves it for Wheeler, and that's cut off by Savage. And an advantage that GSW has over North Georgia in this one is definitely their height out there on the field. They've got a couple of really tall players out there that have been able to make some stops. North Georgia's going to try to have to use their speed to maneuver around the midfielders in this back line for GSW. Ball gets back to North Georgia's side of the field. Michael Fruits tries to track it down. Fruits, a 4-year member of this North Georgia back line that's ranked 4th or better in the PBC in goals allowed for 3 straight seasons. Was a PBC All-Conference second-team member last season. She received her flowers before the game for senior night. Just a very, very underrated part of this North Georgia back line. Has had a lot of superstar talent on it. Of course, Bailey Vessel, who graduated after last year, the PBC Defender of the Year. So she's a name that you are probably pretty accustomed to hearing. And Michael Fruits as well. Definitely, she's just a very underrated player on this North Georgia team. Watry tries to track it down as this is going to be cleared into the stands here at the UNG soccer field. Some great hands there by the fans here to keep that ball from having an unnecessary header here in the stands.
Yeah.
Nighthawks will throw in again. They try to get it to Watry. Watry has some room on her left, but she'll leave it for Diaz. Diaz tries to get a touch into the box. Nighthawks track this one down, and this one hits the goalpost and gets back to Beto. My goodness, that was a scary play for this GSW back line, Devin.
Yeah, we're taking a look at the replay here. Wow, just off the goalpost and then into the goalie's hands.
It looks like
very close.
Looks like a GSW defender may have gotten a foot on it there. It's hard to tell from our angle exactly where the ball had hit. Regardless, it's a tough break for North Georgia. And just a great play again by GSW. Now with under 20 minutes to go, 18:22 remaining. The Nighthawks looking for any signs of life here offensively. Clock is going to stop now with 18:16 to go as GSW takes a bit too long to get the throw in. Clock will continue to roll now. McGill takes it away. Nice defensive play there by Grace McGill to give North Georgia possession. McGill tracks it down. Crowd on their feet here at the UNG soccer field. McGill's got a defender on her in the corner. And GSW makes the play. They've really been forcing the Nighthawks into that corner over there on the right side of your screen. And time again that they've made the play.
Yeah, the back line is holding up really well this second half. North Georgia needing to apply the pressure to them, and they've held up really well.
Baresi tries to cross it in, trying to find Watry. Watry takes the shot, but shoots it left. It's going to be a goal kick here for GSW. There's a good look there for the senior. Who's unable to capitalize, though. Nighthawks stay off the scoreboard. Now it's 17:15 to go. McGill will step off for North Georgia. And Emma Moreau steps back on the field for the Nighthawks. I think these substitutions are going to be really key here for North Georgia in this matchup. We've seen a handful of times this season a player inserted into the game and they make an immediate impact off of the bench for Coach Ralton, and we'll see if one of those substitutions pays dividends here.
Yeah, and you really hope it does. If you're North Georgia, still looking for their lone goal of the game.
A lot of North Georgia starters who are still in the game coming on the back line. A lot of veteran talent back there for the Nighthawks, so a lot of their substitutions have been with their midfielders and their forwards, just trying to switch up their game plan here. So Campbell Young will move the ball back just a couple of yards to take the free kick. But precious seconds are ticking off the clock here for North Georgia. As the sun sets, Young gets it into the box. And that's taken care of by GSW, but gets back in the box as Watry tries to track it down. And the ball does make its way out of bounds behind the goal. Now it may have been just off the foot of Watry, though. It looks like a Hurricane, or Lady Hurricane is shaken up there, but she's looking like she's going to walk it off here. Now 15:35 to go. GSW has been holding a lot of momentum in this game. And the Nighthawks have had their opportunities on the attacking end. 16 shots for the Nighthawks in this one. 6 shots on goal, 6 corners as well. GSW with just 3 shots that they've been able to fire off in this one. 2 of them have been on goal. So the Nighthawks, for the most part, you would think, just looking at the stats alone and not the score, you would think that North Georgia would be up, or at least GSW wouldn't have a goal up on the board. But here we are, under 15 minutes to go. Southwestern with the lead as they try to go for the big upset here in Dahlonega. Nighthawks took down GSW last season in the opening round of the PBC tournament, a 3-0 shutout for North Georgia to move to the second round. You got to think that's kind of adding a little bit of extra motivation here for GSW to go along with the historical success North Georgia has had. But of course, that plays in North Georgia's favor. You know, when they can think, we've beaten this team 21 times before. Coach Ralston's never lost to GSW. So you got to think that North Georgia can at least find the equalizer now with 13:50 to go. As we're going to have another whistle in the 5-on-5 matchup there between Baresi and Ramos. So it's going to be a free kick here for GSW. And they're definitely going to take their time here on this free kick. Again, precious seconds ticking off the clock here for North Georgia. As they send in the free kick, Sierra Fowler is there to make the play. Quickly throws it ahead to Chloe Diaz. Diaz tries to work her way around a defender, tries to get it to Kat Watry. That's cut off by GSW. Gets back to Baresi, now to Diaz. Now on the far side, the Nighthawks will try to make a play with their freshman Campbell Young. Young has a defender hooked onto her. Nighthawks again trying to weave their way into the box. A good opportunity here as the ball gets away from Blanca Cruz and eventually gets out of play for a North Georgia throw-in. They're going to try to work quickly here. GSW may be caught a bit off guard as Diaz had some room to take the shot. Now the Hurricanes are going to try to answer in transition. Just trying to send this one downfield to test this back line for North Georgia. Another 5-on-5 matchup ends in a foul against GSW. The Hurricanes looking for their 4th win in a row. North Georgia hasn't lost since September 15th. A lot on the line here tonight at Lynn Cottrell Park. Ball gets to the left side of the field where Michael Fruits makes her way past the midfield line. This ball hits the head of Ramos. Gets back to the turf. North Georgia maintaining possession of the ball. We approach 10 minutes remaining in this game as Aronoff double-teamed, leaves an open Diaz on the right side of the field. Diaz tries to cross it into the box. Ball takes a bounce. Watry tries to track it down. She hits the turf. Diaz tries to rebound, and GSW takes over. Hurricanes trying to get a streaking ball into Ramos on the play. But it goes out of bounds. Nighthawks now throw in. Baresi tried to go between 2 GSW defenders there on the play. Watry again hits the turf. And the clock is going to stop with 10:33 to go as another hurricane has hit the turf. This time it looks like it's Tony Clark, the sophomore out of Lynn Haven, Florida. Both teams at midfield looking to make some substitutions. As it looks like McGill is going to step back on. Great to see Tony Clark able to walk right off the field, but she will go over to the sideline to get checked out. May have just gotten a cramp there. She is getting a stretch on her back from a GSW goalkeeper. So GSW makes a substitution of their own with Kiera Wilson stepping onto the field. Clock will stop again with 10:17 remaining as GSW makes a substitution. Carson Wingett stepping on the field for Georgia Southwestern, junior out of Macon, Georgia, not too far from here. But anytime GSW makes a sub in this game at the point of time that we are at, the clock will stop since they do have the lead with under 15 minutes to go.
Now that we're under 10 minutes to go, all the pressure is on North Georgia to get a goal here. As I said earlier, the schedule from here on out does not get easier. You have two top 10 teams that you're going to have to face to end the season on, and that's out of the last 3 matchups. So, you want to get away in tonight's game with either a draw or at least get the win.
The Nighthawks they've hit about their season average with the shots they've gotten off this year. We mentioned closer to the beginning of this first half, North Georgia, the third-ranked team in the nation in shots per game. One of the most accurate teams in the country as well, a top 5 team in shots on goal per game. Unfortunately, they just haven't been able to capitalize on anything as of yet. Nighthawks tried to find Grace McGill on that previous play, who just stepped on the field for North Georgia. GSW trying to get a through ball into Bustamante. And a great job by Arnoff there, right in the grill of Bustamante to make the stop. Ball will take a couple bounces in the box right to Sierra Fowler, who's just going to push her team back. And
that was huge. The ball looked like it bounced off the back of one of the Hurricane players or maybe a Nighthawk defender. That was huge because Georgia Southwestern had a really good opportunity there to really dig at North Georgia.
And who will make the play for North Georgia? Will it be a veteran? Will it be a new face on this North Georgia roster? The Nighthawks have done a good job all season long and using both the freshmen and the transfer in Bailey Odinger stepped up big a handful of times for North Georgia. Also, the returning players as well. Do the Nighthawks go to one of their seniors that was celebrated before the game? We'll see if the Nighthawks can try to get Kat Watry involved offensively. Michael Fruits has been doing her job on the back line, making some stops. Don't see Darby Olive on the field right now for North Georgia. And Sierra Fowler, the 4th senior, far out, almost into the circle at midfield for North Georgia. She has come quite a ways out here as the Nighthawks have put a lot of pressure here on GSW. She probably just expects North Georgia to maintain possession here on the right side of the field for a majority of these last 7 minutes. Ball gets out of play. GSW will throw in right next to the North Georgia bench. Ball gets to midfield. Now to Baresi. Baresi trying to find an open Nighthawk on the play there, and looked like it was Clark over there who hits the turf. So it will be North Georgia's ball, excuse me. As Campbell Young throws it in quickly, tries to get it into Grace McGill. Grace McGill immediately double-teamed in the box. As this one is crossed in, Watry had the ball for a moment. Shot stays on the ground and rolls right to Beto on the play, who makes the stop.
Yeah, that's a big stop for Georgia Southwestern. Georgia's still looking for their first goal.
Watry doing a good job staying with the play there to prevent GSW from getting past midfield. A nice job by Aronoff, a clean play there by North Georgia as they take over. Here is Wheeler. Wheeler gets it to an open Aronoff on the right side. Aronoff with a defender right in her grill, tries to work around her, gets it into the box, crosses it in, and no Nighthawk in the vicinity there to finish the play. Had North Georgia had somebody there, could have been looking at a 1-1 game, Devin.
Yeah, potentially, but unfortunately, no Nighthawks anywhere really near the vicinity of that ball to really even do anything with that. And actually, in fact, the ball rolled out of bounds. That's how far that the Nighthawks were and over there.
Yeah, it ended up being a GSW throw-in right before this North Georgia throw-in you see here. They get it into McGill. McGill tries to make her way into the box. Ball will roll almost out of play, stays in bounds. We'd like to see Grace McGill involved in this game as well. The sophomore had a huge goal against Lee last season in the final few seconds of that one to tie the game up. A very similar situation to this game against GSW, where the clock was ticking down. North Georgia was trailing as GSW makes a substitution. Again, like we mentioned, the clock will stop on any substitution under 15 minutes to go because Georgia Southwestern is leading. Even if this game was tied, you'd still have a stoppage of time. As Reagan Savage checks into the game for GSW. Sophomore out of Panama City, Florida. Expect to see her going about 110% here for the final 4 minutes and 10 seconds. Trying to make a stop here for North Georgia. Here is Watry. Watry tries to get into the box, trying to find Wheeler up at the top. Fruits takes the shot. She keeps it on the ground. Watry ends up getting the ball. She hits the turf. No call. This shot deflects off of a Hurricane, stays in play, and eventually rolls out. North Georgia will quickly try to throw in under 4 minutes to go. Young throws it in. And GSW clears it.
Going to be interesting to see what North Georgia does here. Are they going to put more people inside the box?
As we are going to have a whistle going against GSW. Just a few inches outside of the box gives North Georgia a free kick here.
This is big. This is big.
And had the Nighthawks been just a few inches to the right, it could have been a penalty kick. But the clock continues to tick with now under 3 minutes to go. The Nighthawks have the free kick just outside the box. And here it is. The free kick is sent in. It's on the ground. GSW again just clears it almost to midfield. Just expect a lot of throw-ins here for North Georgia as GSW is going to do that over and over again.
Southwestern was all over that one.
This North Georgia offense been one of the best in recent history for the women's soccer program. Can they find some life here as we are now under 2.5 minutes to go? We have another whistle and a foul, and this is going against North Georgia.
That's a big foul for the Nighthawks right there. Clock will continue to run. That was a huge foul, not a foul you wanted to commit there.
Yeah, just took the words right out of my mouth, Devin, with the foul. It wasn't aggressive enough to warrant the yellow card, so the clock does continue to run. That just on that play alone took off, about 15, 20 seconds. Here's Kat Watry, who hits the turf. Nighthawk faithful here wanted to play on GSW. GSW might make something happen here as stays on the ground. As Bustamante tried to find Savage. Didn't get any air underneath it, though. Now a minute and a half remaining. We saw North Georgia men's soccer team find a goal with 16 seconds remaining in the game. Can North Georgia find some life late? Here is Barisi, tries to get between a few defenders. GSW takes over. Barisi is still down, and the clock will stop with a minute 04 to go. She's still down on the turf, so the trainers will come out to check on her. And man, this is just a monumental play here for North Georgia. With clock stopped, a minute 04 to go, you have one of your starters, a veteran, and Barisi still down on the turf for you. You want to see her finish out this game. It's just a tough play all around for North Georgia.
Yeah, this could be one intense minute for the Nighthawks. Looks like Barisi's going to go off the field. We're going to have somebody else come in. Maybe it looks like Darby Olive on the far side coming in for North Georgia.
Yeah, great to see that Barisi is able to walk off the field. The clock does stop with a minute 04 to go. So it gives these players some time to catch their breath before this action-packed final minute and 4 seconds. And Bailey Odinger steps back on the field for North Georgia, just the player that you want to see in this situation. As we are now at 1 minute remaining. Nighthawks get the throw in into Kat Watry. Watry tries to weave her way around some defenders. It gets back to midfield. Fruits tries to get it to the right side of the field. McGill has possession of the ball. The Nighthawks get an open. Adlai Wheeler, that's broken up by GSW, who just clears this back to Aronoff. Aronoff tries to take the shot. That's deflected off of a Lady Hurricane. Ball takes a couple bounces, and again, just cleared by GSW. Ball stays in play. And the Nighthawks are going to be forced back on the throw-in. Now 20 seconds to go. Here's McGill. McGill has room to work. She tries to make her way into the box. She leaves it on the ground, trying to find Watry, and GSW sends it out of play. The Nighthawks can make one final push on the throw-in as they try to make a play, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And for the first time in program history, Georgia Southwestern takes down North Georgia. The Nighthawks, who were 21-0 against GSW, is no longer, as the Hurricanes pick up a massive win this season. And Devin, this is just a great win for this GSW women's soccer program.
Yeah, North Georgia had a lot of opportunities, and Georgia Southwestern looks like a program up on the rise, and you kind of see where it's going to put them in the Peach Belt Conference standings. Georgia Southwestern going to improve to 4-2. North Georgia falling to 4-1. Now you have that kind of tie over there almost. North Georgia having one less loss than Georgia Southwestern does in the Peach Belt Conference, but Robert, this is going to be a loss that stings because this schedule for North Georgia doesn't get any easier.
Absolutely. They've definitely got to go back to the drawing board here. We've mentioned they've got a gauntlet to end this regular season with Clayton State coming up this Wednesday back here at 5 p.m. Columbus State and Lenore Rhine, two top 10 teams in the country, coming up following that matchup to end the regular season as Georgia Southwestern improves to above 500 for the first time this season, as they are now 5-1 in their last 6 games. North Georgia drops their first game for the first time since September 15th against Florida Tech. First time they've lost in over a calendar month. They had their opportunities offensively, 18 shots compared to 3 for Georgia Southwestern, but the Hurricanes come out on top in this game after that goal from Brunner was eventually just the deciding factor in this one for Georgia Southwestern. And so the Hurricanes bring a lot of momentum into their next matchup at Columbus State, a big one for them as they go up against the top 3 ranked team in the country. And North Georgia has a date with Clayton State lined up this Wednesday at 5 p.m. for breast cancer awareness and pink out night back here at the UNG soccer field. On behalf of my partner, Devin Kupka, and the rest of the NSN team working behind the scenes to make this game possible, this is Robert DiClemente signing off, saying have a good night. Again, your final score from Dahlonega, 1-0. Georgia Southwestern comes out with the win. We will see you on Wednesday.